First off, thanks for all you do. I'm a first-year medical student. I've been following your podcast and work for over a year now, and I've learned a ton about personal finance that will surely benefit me in my future career. I'm fortunate to have parents able to pay for medical school, so I will not graduate with any undergraduate or medical school debt. Awesome. Good for you. That's actually about 27% of medical students these days. I opened a Roth IRA with Fidelity to put a few $1,000s I received from a summer job and invested in a low-cost U.S. index fund as you advise, but I do not make regular contributions given I do not have a steady income as a student. Aside from continuing to build my financial literacy, is there anything you would specifically recommend to medical students early in their careers to do to prepare themselves for entering the workforce? I think there are many other medical student listeners out there who would benefit from hearing you answer this type of question. Okay. Congratulations. It's really great that you're able to come out debt-free. That puts you so far ahead of your average peer, you have no idea. Not only are you saving for retirement as an MS1, but you have no debt. The first thing I tell medical students is try to minimize the debt. The less debt you come out with, the closer you are to a net worth of zero. And so I think it's important to live frugally. That applies whether you have debt or not, though. You're not having much income, I'm sure, even if you're getting by. So live frugally. If you're single, get some roommates. If you're married, send your spouse to work, etc., and try to minimize that debt. Second, if you have some money coming in, generally use that. If it's not in a retirement account, use that to pay for medical school or for interviews or for your moving expenses to residency. The best investment you can make is really in you and your future earning ability. If you have retirement accounts, I probably wouldn't necessarily cash those out to pay for medical school. It wouldn't be a crazy thing to do, but I probably wouldn't. That's asset protected money. It's tax protected money. It'll grow for a long time. If you have tax deferred accounts, however, going into medical school, I would try to do Roth conversions of that money during medical school. If you're careful in how much you do, you may be able to do that entire Roth conversion at zero tax cost to you. These are probably the lowest income years you'll ever have in your entire life. So you can do basically free Roth conversions of any tax deferred money you had coming into medical school. You got 4 years to do it. So go for it there, at least 3 years. Maybe that last year you got half a year's salary as an intern, but at least 3 years there, you could do some pretty serious Roth conversions. So definitely do that. But the big decisions, the big financial decisions in medical school, aside from choosing to live frugally and maybe delaying when you take your loans out until you absolutely need them, are really specialty choice. So I caution medical students to do two things with regards to their specialty choice. First of all, choose something that you can do for a long time, something you love, something that's going to give you career longevity, 20, 30, 40 years. You're far better off being a public health and preventive medicine doc for 40 years than you are being an anesthesiologist for 8. You'll pay less in taxes along the way because you make less. You'll have more time for your money to compound. You'll pay more into Social Security and get more benefit out of it. Everything works better with a longer career. So pick something you love. That's really important. But if there are two things you love, remember these other two facts. First of all, a couple of years out of residency, how much you make is going to matter much, much more than it matters to you as an MS3 or an MS4 choosing a specialty. So pay does matter. Let it come into your calculation. It shouldn't be the primary thing in your calculation, but it does matter. Don't ignore it completely. I'm amazed. When I do surveys of young attending physicians, 25% of them tell me they had no idea what the various specialties made in medicine. And you're training for a career here. It's okay to know how much you're going to get paid in that career and to make plans for it. So look at the specialty surveys, understand how the specialties earn compared to one another. Yes, things change a little bit over the years, but for the most part, the way they stack up now by average special pay within the specialty is about the same way they stacked up 20 years ago and 40 years ago. It's probably not going to change in another 20 years. Do keep in mind, however, that the inter-specialty pay differences are often greater than the intra pay specialty differences. What one pediatrician makes versus another pediatrician is often bigger than the inter-specialty pay differences, what an orthopedist makes versus what a family doc makes. So keep that in mind. There's a really wide range of what people in any given specialty earn, and you can obviously affect that after your specialty training. The other thing to keep in mind is that 10 years out of training, you're going to care a lot more about lifestyle and control over your practice, how much call you're taking, how many weekends and nights you're working, and all that sort of stuff, and control of your practice. That matters a lot more as you move toward mid-career than you ever thought it would as a senior medical student. So keep that in mind. Also try to choose a residency. Obviously, the primary concern is to fit with the people in that residency and the quality of the training you're getting. But all else being equal, pick a place that's a little cheaper to live, right? Your money's just going to go a lot further in Indianapolis than it is in the Bay Area. So that's about all the advice I have for medical students. If you want more, I actually have a book coming out soon that is primarily directed at medical students and dental students. And so I encourage you to pick that up and read through there. I think you'll find it very helpful. If you want your questions answered by the White Coat Investor, record your question at whitecoatinvestor.com/YQA or click the link in the description.